Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Now, of course, this video you may think it's a couple of weeks late, considering the kind of verdict for the Scottish Premiership and the rest of the SPFL was given about 2 weeks ago now. Celtic crowned 9-in-a-row champions, Hearts going down, Dundee United coming up, and all the other decisions in the lower down leagues. But today I'm going to discuss a video that I do every year, and a video which always feels like creates some good conversation. It kind of puts the season in perspective and gives us a good indication into what to expect next season. And that is deciding what I think is the Scottish Premiership team of the season. This year was absolutely fantastic, I think. One of the best years for entertainment value around the whole league. You know, it's getting back to that stage now where I think all teams from top to bottom in the Scottish Premiership are offering some great players, offering some, competition for the teams like Celtic. In years gone by, you wouldn't look at some players in the other teams and think they're someone who is a good enough player to play for Celtic or Rangers, but now players are emerging from everywhere. I mean, the Young Player of the Year conversation this season has no players from Celtic or Rangers in the nominations, which is madness. So it just shows you that we are creating a good branch of young players, but we're also got some good players around the league of all ages, making it for some very entertaining watching over the past, I would say 12 months, but of course the season was brought to an end in March. But today I'm going to quickly fly through my picks for what I think is the team of the season. Going to go through in a 4-4-2 as I always do, the best formation in football. I'm a fan of the 4-4-2, I must admit. And I'm going to explain why I think they are there for the team of the season candidates. Now, I know everyone won't agree with me. I know people will have some options they feel like I should have put in that I've left out, but it's subject to opinion. Of course, as someone who's wanting to be a writer, a broadcaster, you're always going to be split opinions from me. So, if you do have your own opinions, leave them in the comments below. There are so many players I've had to leave out, which is a crying shame. But for me, this is the Scottish Premiership team of the season. Now, because I don't want to be here all day and make this a half-hour video, we will be flying through each player, giving a brief sort of explanation of why they're there. But the way to do it, as always, is go from back to front. Start the goalkeeper, make our way up to the strikers, and I believe that will give us a suitable sort of time on the video, hoping for 10-15 minutes max, but the more I talk, the more I realise I could waffle for Scotland. So let's get right into it. The goalkeeper, there was a couple of options for this, and I really feel harsh leaving one man out, but I'm going to have to go with personally Fraser Forster. Now, I know what everybody's thinking straight away, this is it, video off, it's a Celtic biased video. It's not. Trust me, there's not as many as usual Celtic players in this team. For me, the reason I went for Fraser Forster is because, he's been absolutely marvellous at the top of the table, keeping out probably the most, I mean, this is what people always say. Of course, Celtic don't concede as many chances as what the lesser teams do. So the other option of Mark Gillespie is arguably the correct choice to go in here. But Fraser Forster's saves this season, not just in the league. I know this is a league-only video, but everywhere else, it just shows you how good a keeper he is for his age. And the amount of football he's played over the last few years hasn't been a lot, and he's still got it. He's came back. He's done absolutely tremendous. I mean, I've got his stats written here. 12 clean sheets. It's the joint most in the league with Alan McGregor. 17 goals conceded in the league, that is all, including 2 penalty saves as well, plus another 2 in the Betfred Cup and the Europa League. He is a shot stopper and a half. And yes, Mark Gillespie's had a fantastic season for Motherwell and probably a lot of people's pick for goalkeeper of the year. But I think people forget how little football Fraser Forster has played over the last few years, being riddled with injuries and becoming kind of second fiddle at Southampton, sometimes even third fiddle, if you like. And coming back and playing at such a high level across all competitions, week in, week out, sometimes twice a week. Absolutely marvellous from the big man. And for me, he has to be the goalkeeper of the year for the heroics that he's shown in all aspects of every competition. Fantastic goalkeeper, has to be in there. Now, at right back, I've not actually got a right back. This is the only position in the park I've had to do this with. I'm playing someone out of position. I've gone with Stuart Findlay. I think he's someone who deserves to be in here, and he just didn't make it into the centre-half partnership for me, so I had to involve him. And plus, I don't really think there's been a standout right back this season anywhere in the league. The closest probably being Jeremy Frimpong, who I still think has a long way to come as a football player. But Stuart Findlay's had a remarkable season at Kilmarnock. He has now for the last couple of years, I think. I think he's someone who is destined to probably move higher within the Scottish Premiership, or even take a move down south. A former Celtic man, of course, but he shows all the time at Kilmarnock how he is their, their preferred centre-half choice or defender of choosing. He's the one in the back line that you look at and go, he's the solid one. He's the one that they need in that team. I think he is and he's still obviously quite a young guy as well, scoring a goal as well and getting an assist this season from the centre-half position. He's someone who I do think is probably destined to move on, but this year he's been remarkable. Probably not as successful now without Steve Clarke as manager, because obviously under Steve Clarke they played a lot more reserve football, but a great player nonetheless. On to the first of the centre-half partnerships, I have got Declan Gallagher, some call Scotland's centre-back. He's had a fantastic season at Motherwell, of course, taking the move there from Livingston. But he's a rock. He's a solid player. And he's done really well and established himself as one of the best centre-halves in the league, to the point where he is now as one of Scotland's first-choice centre-halves. He's one of those kind of no-nonsense men to me. He seems like a good player. Someone who's probably a bit past it from taking a move to somewhere like Celtic or Rangers. He is getting on a little bit, Declan Gallagher. But nonetheless, he's had a fantastic season, also scoring 2 goals and getting 3 assists, which is great for a centre-half. And if you actually look at it, he's had a 17% goal participation rate at Motherwell in the league this season. I mean, that may just say Motherwell don't score a lot of goals, but for a centre-half, that's a very impressive statistic to have. And for me, he was probably one of the first names that came to my head when assembling this whole team. Declan Gallagher, he makes the team of the season for me. The next one is Celtic's £7 million signing in the summer, Christopher Jullien. He was probably, I'm not joking when I say this, the first person I put on this 4-4-2 team sheet. Christopher Jullien had to be the first one there. What a remarkable signing and what a remarkable season this man has had. I mean, he is, if maybe I'm speaking too soon, maybe I'm over-exaggerating, but since Virgil van Dijk, probably the best centre-half Celtic have seen. He's absolutely unbelievable. He's a presence. That's the word that comes to mind. A presence. His towering figure, both offensively and defensively. He has been nothing but revolutionary for the Celtic backline, I would say. I think he's added so much more stability to that middle of the line. And he's chipping in with the goals as well. In the league alone, 4 goals and 2 assists this season. I mean, he's honestly, send the ball into his napper at any point. He's the man who's came into Celtic who makes me feel like we actually have a chance from a corner. Now, the last 3-4 years, every time we've had a corner, I've said to myself, we're going to do nothing. But now that Jullien is there, it changes everything. He's only picked up 2 yellow cards in the league as well this season, which is a fantastic record for a centre-half. Usually centre-halves obviously get quite a number of bookings. You see them getting kind of 5-6 a season. 2 for Jullien in the portion of the season that we played. And he's a very instrumental and key figure to the fact that we got to 9 in a row this season. At left back, I feel like there was only one choice, and it's the first Rangers player to make the team. Borna Barisic has to come in here. I think he is by far the best best left back in the league in terms of probably technical ability. I mean, he's still no Johnny Hayes, but he's had a great season, Borna Barisic, and fans rightly rave about him over on the other side of the city. I think he is a player who does possess a lot of skills that would probably come in handy to even Celtic. But, I mean, this season, 8 assists in the league, chipping in 2 goals. Fantastic return from that left-hand side. For me, probably has been Rangers' key player this year. They're the best-looking player, at least. I don't think a lot of Rangers fans would agree with me in that. Obviously, they have their opinions on Morelos and Ryan Jack and Arfield and the like. But Barisic this season has been great, and there's no denying that he's probably the only pick for the left-back position in the team of the season. On to the midfield then, the right-hand side, we have James Forrest. I don't feel like, once again, this is a position there has been many standout right-wingers or right midfielders this season, but James Forrest is the pick of the bunch if you have to go with any. And even at that, what a fantastic season Forrest has had again. Now, I feel like Forrest this season has had one of his typical inconsistent, gets abuse sort of seasons. It's not kind of the calibre he was, I think, the prior 2 years to this season. I think he was much better in those, but you still look at his stats in the league. 28 appearances, 10 goals, 17 assists. That's madness. And it's one of those ones that when you look at the stats and you look deep down, you realise how good a player he is and has been this season. Unbelievable player, and consistently likes to prove people wrong. And that's a kind of theme for the next player as well. But James Forrest has to go in. I was thinking to myself, it's not really been a good right mid. And then you just think about it deep down. Forrest, easily. The 2 centre mids was by far the hardest positions to pick. There's so many good players this season. Honourable mentions to the likes of Lewis Ferguson and Ryan Jack, Callum McGregor, who I have, yes, left out. Just 3 of the fantastic centre mids in the Scottish Premiership this season. The first one I've had to go with is Scott Brown. And I know a lot of people will be jumping and typing away and thinking I'm crazy for picking Scott Brown, but the reality of Scott Brown is this: year after year after year, at the start of each season, it is said that Scott Brown is done, he's not going to last any longer, his legs are away, he's lost it, he's nowhere near the player he used to be. Then year after year after year, the guy goes on at 34 years of age to show that he can play 2 games a week to a consistent ability, and still is the best captain in the whole of Britain. I will never take that back. Scott Brown is the best captain in Britain. And there's no doubt for me he goes into the team this season. I mean, he's played 29 league games, getting 2 goals. And that's at 34 years of age. He's doing it week in, week out, still lifting what could have been a treble this season. We cannot underestimate how good and how useful and how strong a player Scott Brown is, even as he gets on. And you know what? I still think he could do it for another year or 2. Bruni is absolutely unbelievable. He has to go in. Callum McGregor or him it was between. And I think McGregor, once again, has had another fantastic season full of consistent football. But Brown proves people wrong year after year. And that's not the only reason he gets in. His quality of football has been good. There has been questionable moments, I think, especially in Europe. But talk about Scottish Premiership alone, he's captain fantastic. The other centre mid I went for is St Johnstone's Ali McCann, who is probably, in my opinion, the young player of the year. Ali McCann has broke out at St Johnstone to look a marvellous player, a gem of a player, and probably once again, as I said, the same for the likes of Stuart Findlay, someone who will, over the next few years, I imagine, climb the ranks within the Scottish Premiership, or even, as I said, move to England. He's been unbelievable. I think he is the main contender for that award. I think he's been St Johnstone's standout this year, and probably a team that just doesn't have many standouts. He's been instrumental to the turnaround that St Johnstone had from the torrid start to the season to where they found themselves by the end under Tommy Wright. And I mean, that for such a young guy outplaying so many opposition, I think he's a great player. I mean, 4 goals, 2 assists inside the 29 games he's played from the middle of the park. Ali McCann, for me, young player of the year and makes team of the season. Over on the left-hand side, I don't know if it'll be a surprise to many people. I've had to go with Stephen Wallace from Livingston. I didn't really realise, to do my research for this video, that he has had a remarkable season for Livingston. I mean, a 34% goal participation rate, first of all, that just says a lot. I mean, he's involved in more than a quarter of Livingston's league goals. But 30 games, 8 goals and 6 assists for a guy who plays for a team who don't really score many goals, a team who are kind of more sit back and survive, get stuck into you a wee bit. To chip in that many goals this season from the left hand side of the park, absolutely unbelievable. He's always a player who I've said every time Celtic go to play Livingston, he's the guy to watch. I've always said about Wallace. I think he is Livingston's best player, despite having some good players around the park. Lyndon Dykes, now they've got Menga back, and then some strong defensive players as well. Wallace is always the kind of guy who I feel like creates a lot in the game, gets that little bit of flair and spark into it, and brings them alive and gets them to the point where they score goals. And his stats go to prove it this season. Stephen Wallace, for me, has been the best left midfielder. I don't think, once again, it's a position that has much competition. Even here at Celtic, we've not had a consistent left midfielder all season. Of course, we've kind of changed up our tactic to the point where we're not playing a left winger, if you like. But Stephen Wallace, great season. And for me, I mean, he's just announced he's leaving Livingston. Whoever picks him up next season, it will be a Premiership team, you would imagine, but it will be a fantastic addition to their squad. You can see him fitting into somewhere around that same portion of the table, or even go to somewhere like Hibs and really add to their game. Wallace, he makes it in for me. Strikers. Now the first one I wasn't even too sure about putting in, but Alfredo Morelos, he is the well, I think he actually might be the third at this point, third top scorer in the league. I think Defoe did eclipse him towards the end of the season. Now Morelos, for me, hasn't had the best second half of the season, but his first half of the season was extremely good. There's no denying that. It was still at that point where there was conversation between Eduardo and Morelos. But obviously one has eclipsed that, and we'll come on to that. But Morelos does make it in the team of the season for me. He is a fantastic goal scorer. I think he does need to get back on his game. Don't know if he'll be at Rangers next season, but if he is, you know, he's got a lot of things to work on, because in this second half of the season, I think there was a lot of complaints from Rangers fans, and there was a lot of questions asked by the media as to whether or not he is at his, you know, kind of physical peak, if he's in the right mindset. a lot of questions around there, but there's no denying he is a fantastic footballer when he is in the right mindset. Still a little bit of disciplinary issue, I would say, to work on for him as well, but who am I to judge? Alfredo Morelos, what matters is scoring the goals for a striker, and he does it well. He's showed that for the last 2-3 years at Rangers, and it's why there's a conversation as to how much money he's worth and who he'll go to next and blah blah blah, because we all know he is a good player. As much as Celtic fans hate him, as much as I hate to admit it, we all know that he is a goal scorer and possesses a danger, except when it comes to the Celtic games, of course. Which brings me on to my final player, and the obvious, I mean, I say that Julien was the first name on my sheet for the team of the season. This man was just as quick on the sheet as well. Odsonne Edouard, the league's top scorer, 22 league goals this season, 12 assists this season. He is the best player in Scotland. There's no conversation. I don't even need to add any more than that. He is going to go on to big things in his career. Hopefully he's here for 10 in a row. I think he will be here for 10 in a row, but he's a fantastic footballer. The technical ability he has, it raises a question to, is he the best striker Celtic have seen since Henrik Larsson? Because he's just that good. He possesses that much ability, and he's a man we all love for so many reasons. But a guy with such a cool temperament, a guy with such a cool collected finish, just a marvellous player, and honestly someone I joy to watch this season at Celtic, and he's lit up the league everywhere he's went. Every ground he's been to, at home, away. What a fantastic player. Edouard, I mean, what else can I say? That does it then. That is my opinion for what is the Scottish Premiership team of the season. I think it's been a fantastic season. As I said at the start of the video, a lot of players I've sadly had to leave out, but you can only pick 11, can't you? So not much else I can add to it. If you have enjoyed, you know what to do. Make sure to hit like and subscribe. Hope everybody is keeping safe, and all that good jazz as well. But you know what to do. Like and subscribe, as I said. See you all next time.